Hi, my name's Kasha. Antarctica, the final frontier, where every year 50,000 people visit and pay money to be cold, where there are more penguins than people, and where there has never been a stand-up comedy show until now.
Tori. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. It's my fault.
29:30. Ready or not? Here I come. There you are. Let's do it again.
Now for a special guest.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to World Oceans Day Comedy Show. We're making some commotion for the ocean tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Your applause is overwhelming. Yes. Tonight, we're accepting donations. We will type that in the comments shortly for any programs that we for Black STEM programs. We actually talked to Black AF in STEM, and they had a whole list of wonderful nature organizations that they would like to put their donations towards. So, depending on how much money we raise, we can spread more love. So, like I said, we'll put that link in the donations. It's the Eventbrite, and then DC Science Comedy will absorb those ticketing fees that Eventbrite feels necessary. I guess they're a business too. So, today is World Oceans Day, as you guys know. I'd love to see what you guys did today for the ocean, even if it's just like, I didn't use a straw today. Feel free to type that in the comments. This is going to be a mix of a live show and then also a recorded show. So we have a little bit of both in here. We have a lot of really fun sketches for you. Let me tell you, the amount of performers that are putting their hard work and time into this show is incredible, and I'm in awe, and I'm very, very thankful for all of them. Think of this show as a little bit like a late night talk show meets SNL. And if you don't find it funny, you know what? Neither is SNL really, unless someone from SNL is watching this. I think you're hilarious. Please hire me. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I actually work in science, and then I do stand up comedy at night. I do science themed stand up comedy. I'm actually based in Washington, D.C., but because of this quarantine, I've been able to do a lot of different virtual shows. I hope quarantine has been okay for you guys. It's very difficult. I've been quarantining with my dog. He is a rescue. He rescued me from having a large bank account because he knows that money is the root of all evil. It was actually really cute because before the quarantine, every time I would leave the room, he would always pee and poop. And it was kind of endearing because I realized that I am my dog's emotional support animal. But then last week, I actually found him hiding in the closet. And I was like, oh my gosh, even my dog is tired of in house socializing. We've been socializing, we've been quarantining together for, oh boy, over 70 days now. We work together. He helps me telework. I realized that my dog is like the Kim Kardashian of computer technicians. His butt creates a lot of problems. Like, if he had a job, oh man, he would be promoted so well, but he doesn't have a job because he's unmotivated. I do have a job. I actually work as a science writer, which is a lot of fun because every day and all day I get to talk to scientists and I'm always learning new things. Like, I learned that oceanographers are actually really good spellers because they're constantly spelling all these really long, complicated words like phytoplankton, acidification, insufficient funding. I'm glad that World Oceans Day is in June. Actually, June 2020 has been declared Ocean Month. And I'm glad that it's in June because actually, I don't know if you know this, May was actually Earth Month and Astronomy Month, which to me just seems like bad planning. I actually work. I actually. And we're back. Hooray! Yeah. We're getting a sneak preview of what is to come. Spoiler alerts. Uh, well, I was going to say, so I actually work at a small science startup called NASA. And it's always weird how you have to tell people that information because if you want to be honest, you say you work at NASA. If I want to be vague, I say I work for the government. If I don't want any follow up questions, I say I work at a travel agency. Uh, it's weird because People are so excited about space, way more than they are about Earth. It's ridiculous. Like, I have to study news about space, not because my job requires it, but because society requires it. I remember last year, a big comedy producer came up to me after one of my shows and actually said, I read a study by NASA that said, uh, people are more interested in science when the color of the moon changes. And I thought that was made sense to me. Whenever we have a blood moon, super moon, it's always in the news and people are always talking about it. So I went around for the past year telling people this fact. And then I decided to Google it last week and I found out that he was quoting an article from The Onion. So yeah, I guess that's my bad. That's my bad. I think it's weird, though, that we know so little about the ocean. I bring this up because I actually found out that we know more about space. We've mapped more of space than we have the ocean. We've only mapped around like 5%. And I would like to point out that includes the fact that some people think that there's a Loch Ness monster out there. So, how much do we really know? I feel like we actually lose a percent for that. I think it's insane how little we know about the ocean, but we know so much about Cardi B, right? Like, we know what she ate that day. We know where she breeds. We know how many babies she had that year. Biologists would kill to know that information about sharks. I like sharks because I've never met one before. That's also the same reason I like my landlord. I've never met him. I actually read a statistic the other day that said people are more likely to die from a bee sting than a shark attack. Not if I'm in the water. I actually found out that after the movie Jaws came out, the shark populations plummeted and it was directly tied to that movie. And I just think it's crazy how much Hollywood and Disney has actually affected our planet. Also, side note, it's weird that Jaws is PG. That movie is scary. I am almost 30 and that movie still scares me today. Huh. But actually, so I said Jaws decreased shark populations. After The Little Mermaid, everybody wanted to be a mermaid. I also fell for Disney's trick. After watching Finding Nemo, I also wanted to play dead so I could escape from my dentist's office. Yeah. One of the reasons that I wanted to do this show was to showcase all of the research that we know about oceans and animals. Part of World Oceans Day is actually talking about all of the animals that rely on the water, which, if you know, is everyone and everything. If you go to the World Oceans website, they actually have little stickers that you can post, virtual stickers, saying, oh, I helped a seal, a penguin, a whale, a shark. So that way you can do your part in it too. Now, one of the most curious things for me as a science comedian is to find out which animals have a sense of humor. I actually recently went to Antarctica to find out this answer by testing it on penguins. So I would like to play a clip for you in honor of World Oceans Day to find out, do penguins have a sense of humor? This is all real clips taken by me. Thank you very much. Let's roll the clip. Antarctica, the final frontier, where every year 50,000 people visit and pay money to be cold, where there are more penguins than people, and where there has never been a stand-up comedy show until now.
Welcome to the first stand-up comedy show in Antarctica, as far as I know. Today we're going to be talking to some penguins to try to make them laugh. Alright, let's get ready. Please gather round. Stand-up comedy show in your colony about to start in T-minus 1 minute. Thank you. What a great turnout. Thank you. Who here has been to a stand-up comedy show before? Ah, many first-timers. I see you all got my note that this is a tuxedo-only event. We came here on a big ship with 3 meals a day and with a camera crew, just like Shackleton did. Where are my single penguins at? Anyone here on Tinder? My mom actually gave me some dating advice. She told me, Kasha, don't pick a man with bushy eyebrows because he'll never trim those. Or Kasha, don't pick a guy with bad posture now because imagine what that's going to be like in 50 years. Turns out she was talking about a Gen 2 penguin. Penguins get a lot of crap for not being able to fly. I say, neither can I. Who cares? One thing I love about the penguins, you guys are incredible. Very impressive how you build your highways with no help from the Chinese. That joke normally kills with humans. You guys are in for a real special treat because I actually fill the unknown demand of Indian female comics from West Virginia. Anyone here ever been to West Virginia before? Yeah, it's kind of a long way from here for you guys. We're kind of landlocked. We actually have a lot of similar species in West Virginia like you guys have. We have chinstrap humans. We have a deli where you can pick up lunch meat. Ooh. I've never been heckled by a penguin before.
For some reason, this wasn't going so well. Maybe I couldn't relate to them.
You can follow me on social media, wherever you get Wi-Fi. I'm kashapatel.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'll friend you back, chinstrap penguins.
Or maybe it was them. I wanted to find out. Do penguins have a sense of humor? Find out next.
Thank you, everybody. If you would like to see if penguins actually have a sense of humor, that was kind of the. This video will be released later this week on YouTube. Now, I have some sponsored content because what would a comedy show be without some sponsored content? This is a content actually put on by the World of Blobfish to help you learn a little bit more about these unusual creatures. Let's learn about the blobfish.
Hey there friends, I'm back. We're going to talk about the blobfish. These ugly friends can get to be about a foot long. They can be found in the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans. And they live from about 300 to just over 9,000 feet deep. They're basically deep sea mystery dudes because we don't really know much about them. But apparently some of them have been found with gastropods in their stomachs.
Gastropods are like slugs and snails.
Now we know that they're famous for being ugly. I mean, yikes, am I right? They were literally voted the world's ugliest animal in an online poll in 2013. And I'm sure the fact that they're called fathead sculpins is not helping. However, the reality of the situation is that that's not what they look like in their natural habitat. The deep sea has crazy strong pressure, and that pressure decreases so much when they're brought to the surface that they basically lose their shape. The way that the specimens are preserved is not doing them any favors either. This famous specimen was first fixed in formaldehyde, but now it sits in ethanol. And though ethanol is a liquid, it tends to take the moisture out of things. So it made the skin really dry and tight and made the nose collapse. It kind of had the opposite effect of Botox and made it look like an old man. This specimen was affectionately named Mr. Blobby, and it is currently being held in a jar in the Australian Museum Ichthyology collection. Man, shout out to Australia. They got a lot of cool stuff.
Hi everyone, welcome to a very special version of Science Roundup, all about the oceans. We bring you all the latest science headlines and research that you probably didn't want to know about. Let's dive in.
New research suggests that large-scale fishing can disrupt mating systems. If by disrupt, you mean kick it into overdrive.
New research finds fish diets, not geography, dictate how fast species evolve. Specifically, vegetarians drive fish evolution. And I bet they're self-righteous about it too.
Researchers have developed a technique to zero in on regions of the sea where missing objects or people are likely to be. For those lost at sea, help is on the way. Until it arrives, There's almost certainly some floating trash nearby you can hang on to.
A new study shows that 13,000 microfibers, which is the equivalent to about 2 garbage trucks per day, are released into the European marine environment every year. But as much as 30% of that could be reduced by simply changing our laundry habits, specifically using larger wash loads and reducing our wash cycle times. So this time, if you smell, at least it's for the environment. The study also showed that fabric softener had no direct impact on the amount of microfibers released, which further confirms the fact that fabric softeners serve no purpose.
Researchers at the University of Saskatchewan have proposed a technique whereby human waste could be used to combat global food insecurity. Disgusting. They stole my idea.
Scientists have developed a test that can identify hybrids between European and American lobsters. They were able to tell that they were European American hybrids because the lobsters had funny accents and loved buffets.
For 100 years, scientists were unable to study the skeleton of an extinct fish lizard because it was trapped in glass and suspended 16 feet above the ground. Now, they've got an up-close look thanks to a selfie stick and a fishing rod. For the fish lizard's part, they're happy just to have a good profile pic.
In recent years, the comb jelly has been found in environments outside of its typical home in North America. A recent study shows that the comb jellies are able to survive and adapt to these new environments under severe conditions by using their offspring as food, especially during the long, nutrient-deprived winters. So, don't believe a comb jelly when they tell you they don't have a favorite child.
Scientists have discovered a secret breeding ground for a species of endangered whale. When asked why they liked the area, the whales said it had a nice ambiance, it was quiet, and now for a special guest spot. We go live to Sam Man Overboard Robinson. Sam is a veteran cruise line comedian who's been volunteering as a scientific observer at a research facility near the Dominican Republic. As the coronavirus has limited international travel, Sam has been one of the few scientists still making observations about our world's oceans. Sam, how's life as a volunteer scientist?
Well, recently the pay hasn't been great. It's been just coconuts. But seriously, when the Princess Cruise crew left me in the middle of the night a couple of weeks ago, I initially was depressed, but I've been able to reorient my mind, and I find that there are so many interesting things about this island and about the world around me. It's been pretty amazing.
Oh, so you didn't choose to go to this research facility of your own accord?
It was a mutual decision that they made in the middle of the night without me, but I've really come around to their way of thinking. I guess my ex was right. I really am the only one who can stand the smell of my own farts, but I'm on the up and up.
Oh boy. Sam, there's a lot of concern about plastic in the world's oceans. Have you noticed any garbage patches or trash floating around your research station?
Oh, so much garbage, so much trash. It's all been floating by. In fact, I think I saw that X float by a couple of hours ago. Whose farts smell now? But seriously, as a stay-at-home parent, there's nothing in that ocean that compares to the messiness of my son's bedroom. Any parents out there?
You're a stay-at-home parent? You're a cruise ship comic.
My son's 45 years old. He can take care of himself. Now those farts, whoo. But really, I think I have stumbled upon an incredibly fascinating formula for how we can get rid of plastics in our ocean, and X's too.
Well, that's very impressive.
Yeah, if you think that's impressive, make sure you join us for bingo, young people too. Bingo every morning, 9 a.m. Bring your own banana.
Yeah, well, I'll keep that in mind if I ever should go on a cruise. But Sam, ocean acidification is a huge concern as carbon levels rise globally.
Yeah, acid in the ocean. Thank goodness I brought some of my own. Now listen, there's some very strict rules when it comes to cruise ships, like the crew. very limited. But entertainers, we get to do basically whatever we want.
Sam.
So let's just say that every time I'm on a cruise, I'm really going on 2 trips.
Sam.
You know, I've been thinking about it in my cave, and everyone focuses on the amount of carbon dioxide and carbon ions when they look at the acidification equation, but like in excess of bicarbonate ions would reverse the process, right? Like, what's everybody else thinking, you know?
Wow. Came up with that all by yourself.
I have had a lab partner. Honestly, the brains of the whole operation. Let me get him. This is Spalding. We've been together for professionally together. Let's not get crazy here. For maybe since about an hour after I discovered I've been left by the crew. I don't do well when I'm lonely. Shut up. I mean, okay, I'll ask. No, this is professional. Stop it. Spalding wants me to ask what you thought of, you know, the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. He himself is a bit of a fan, but you know.
Stay where you are. We are going to get off the line here, and we are going to call in the Coast Guard, and they can rescue you as soon as possible.
Are you ready, Spalding? We get to share our love with the world.
Thank you, viewers. This has been Science Roundup.
Well, thank you. That was somewhat informative. I decided to talk to a real researcher and expert on microplastics. We pre-recorded this, but the researcher is actually here behind the scenes and can answer your questions while we'll be playing. We will hear a little bit from her later on in the show for another sketch, but please welcome Amari Walker.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Amari Walker, and I am currently a graduate student at Duke University. I study environmental engineering, and my research actually focuses on chemicals associated to microplastics and just how they end up leaving the plastic and ending up in things like our drinking water or in our streams and in the guts of fish and birds.
Tell us, what is a microplastic?
Just almost any plastic you can find, whether that comes from your straws, utensils, whatever you name, that's what we would define as a macroplastic. And as soon as it is, hit with different forms of degradation, it becomes smaller and smaller. So anything smaller than 5 millimeters is what we would call a microplastic. But some scientists would say it's smaller than that. We're not going to get lost in the jargon. They're just the size of a salt is basically microplastics, like kosher salt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are common causes for microplastics?
I mentioned that they can break down into that size, but I forgot to mention before that they can originally be made that small in things like your face wash. A lot of face wash has microbeads. If you notice, you can see little beads in them. Those are plastic. I know a lot of companies have already started banning those in most of their products, but depending on what you have on your shelf right now and how old it is, you might still have microplastics in your face wash or in your toothpaste.
Yeah, those are also they're said to scratch your skin.
Yeah, they cause
they're not
little
even
micro tears in your skin.
Yeah, it's not even a good face wash. Why did anyone ever decide to make that?
I was very traumatized because I used to use it for the longest. I had no idea.
I think they advertised it as like a massage for your face. So I think I also got it. It was like a foot scrub, but for your face. And then you realize, wait, I don't want a foot scrub on my face.
It's like, oh, now that explains why my skin was so red for so many years. Like, okay, great. Let me just try and reverse all of that in the next few years.
So let's talk about microplastics in the ocean. Tell us a little bit about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Yeah, so like that Great Pacific Garbage Patch, there's a couple of what we call gyres. They're just circular formations in the ocean. It's just how ocean currents travel. But I think there's about 4 or 3. on Earth right now, and a lot of them have floating islands of plastic waste. And so this is basically just how our trash from, well, not even just ours, but trash around the world ends up being transported to these little hubs, and they get stuck in the gyre. And so this is a pretty significant issue, because it, like I said, they call it an island. It's that big, it goes for miles.
So there was a scientific study that said microplastics have been found in human feces. Can you explain some more about that study? I'm curious. I kind of want to know the methodology more than the conclusion.
I think I actually met one of the researchers that did that, or I don't know why, because I went to a microplastics conference a couple of years ago, and I remember us all freaking out about it. But yeah, honestly, I think it's a very interesting idea to study poop. And in my field of environmental engineering, there are people that study waste, and then there's people who study like drinking water environments. And I'm most definitely lean towards like drinking water environments.
You're all studying waste. It just depends on where it came from. You mentioned a microplastics conference. I mean, I would assume, there's a conference about everything now. How big is this microplastics conference?
So I think they intentionally tried to make it a little bit smaller, but it was like around like 150
conference for the microplastics.
Yes, we compressed our conference.
Now, in your YouTube videos, you have this YouTube channel where you post videos that are promoting knowledge about microplastics and also promoting more STEM outreach. One thing that I like about your YouTube videos too is you gave very practical advice for how to prevent microplastics waste. For clothing, you said to make sure that it's a little unsure of what fabrics what fabrics actually have it, but you did say that how we do our laundry could help that.
Yeah, so there was a study done on the number of microfibers released amongst cotton, polyester, and then a blend of cotton and polyester. And they found that there were less microplastics released from this blend of cotton and polyester overall. And the fact that if you use detergent or no detergent, there was also a very significant difference in the amount of fibers released for all three types of clothing. So if you use probably milder detergent, like using vinegar, baking soda, versus, the aggressive like Tide or Dawn, you're probably less likely to release as many microplastics into your water. Also, they said that using colder water versus hot water makes a big difference in the release of those microfibers.
You said that when you're washing, it makes a difference of whether you're using no detergent, mild detergent, or like heavy detergent like Tide. Don't you have to use detergent to clean your clothing? So I've never cleaned my clothing without detergent. Would that work?
I've usually done more natural cleaning. I haven't
like hand
done
washing?
Not hand washing, just like using vinegar and baking soda instead of Tide. And the thing is that there's a lot of different chemicals present in those detergents, and so they can be pretty aggressive in how they interact with the fibers.
So when you use vinegar as your laundry detergent, does it make your clothes smell like vinegar? Where people will be like, oh, I can smell salad dressing. Amari must be coming over now.
I always thought that would be an issue, but no, I haven't had an issue of it making it smell any different.
I feel like you could create like the Amari Walker version of the Marie Kondo book, Magical Effect of Cleaning Up Your Microplastics.
I'll throw that on the list after I finish my PhD.
Or what if that was your PhD?
My whole dissertation. I'm going to rework it. I'm going to paste my YouTube video as my intro and then include my book as my chapters.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for talking to us about microplastics. Very cool.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm happy to be here.
If you guys want to see the rest of that interview, we actually have the full extended 40-minute interview on our podcast, Science Comedy Paradox. And like I said, Amari Walker is here on our channel right now to answer your questions if any pop up. For right now, I would like to take a small break and go to one of our other sponsored segments, this time by The Coral.
Hey there, friends, I'm back. We're on facts to talk about corals. Believe it or not, yes, corals are animals, and they're related to sea jellies and anemones. There are different types of coral reefs, like tropical reefs and even deep sea reefs. As I'm sure you've seen before, they can grow huge and they take a long time to build. Some reefs around the world have been growing for about 50 million years. But they can't do it alone. They rely on a symbiotic relationship they have with an algae called zooxanthellae. That's so much fun to say. The zooxanthellae lives inside the corals for protection, and in return it gives the coral oxygen and helps with waste removal. It also gives the coral its beautiful colors. Problem is, we haven't been very kind to our corals over the last few decades. Climate change and pollution are stressing out the little zooxanthellae so much that they're leaving the corals entirely. And if the stress isn't mitigated, they won't come back and the corals will die. And that, my friends, is called coral bleaching. Dang, imagine being around for millions of years just to be so brutally disrespected by us. Yikes. This is a before and after of the Great Barrier Reef. So we really need to be better for the sake of our corals because they are insanely important. Just look at how productive this little ecosystem is. They're like the rainforests of the ocean. Though they only cover about 1% of the ocean floor, they support about a quarter of all marine species in the world. If that doesn't impress you, I don't know what will. So you can't continue your day until you say thank you to the coral reefs.
Okay. Thank you very much, Coral. All right, I'm very excited to bring on our next act. She is a fantastic comedian, originally from the Washington, D.C. area, but is now up in New York City. And she actually had some observations about the lovely deep blue that she would like to share with you. Please give it up for Brittany Carney. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Who knew that history collided with the ocean so well? For our next segment, I'm actually going to bring on a turtle and shark specialist. We're going to go through very popular movie scenes and we're going to talk about, did Disney and Hollywood get that right? Let me bring on Carly Jackson.
Hey guys.
That they cannot hear us when we are on Zoom. So we are currently fixing that.
No.
So I guess we'll just kind of hang out and see what happens.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Technology.
Love it.
Okay. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us now. There is a delay, so now it's just, oh, sound is back. Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, we did
Cool.
it. Yeah. It's funny, no one comments on the show unless there's something wrong.
Right.
Well, that means they couldn't hear any of Brittany's stuff, so Brittany will just have to do it all over again. We'll bring her back. So Brittany, you get a second shot at that. Thank you. All right. So Carly, you already told us what you did, but let's re-say it again for those who couldn't hear.
All right. So guys, my name's Carly and I'm here in South Florida and I'm a grad student. My grad student research focuses on the effects of tourism on nurse sharks in Belize. And I'm also a marine turtle specialist at a place called Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. And I work with sea turtles there. I work with the beach monitoring. So we help with marking the nests on the beach and monitoring any turtle activity on the beach. And I also help in the sea turtle rehab facility. So doing like medical procedures and things like that.
Cool. All right. So for our first clip, we're going to play The Wonderful World of Finding Nemo. Have you seen this movie?
This is easily my favorite movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had to
Finding
watch
Nemo.
it. Yeah, we had to watch it from like what, 4th grade to now.
Basically, yeah.
It's how like high school teachers taught biology when they didn't want to teach that day.
Yeah, definitely remember that.
All right, so we are going to play a clip involving the turtles. Crush.
Dory. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. It's my fault.
29:30. Ready or not? Here I come. There you are. Catch me again.
If you didn't see it or didn't hear, I mean, we all know what happens, right? Nemo is on the back of Crush and's like, oh no, where's Dory? Goes to look for Dory, thinks Dory is hurt. Dory's just playing hide and seek with all the baby turtles. And they're riding on the EAC. So tell us one thing that is factually incorrect about this scene.
So one of my favorite facts about sea turtles in general is when they lay their nests, they usually are laying like at least 5 nests, and each of those have like 100 to 200 eggs in them. So that's like easily almost 1,000 children. They lay those nests and then they leave. They don't think about their little babies. So usually when they're out there, if they do like encounter a baby sea turtle or something, they're not going to know if it's their parents or not. So that is
Oh,
definitely one thing that's factually incorrect on Finding Nemo.
well, they did have to make it a happy ending, right? Because,
Exactly. Yeah, for the
yeah,
kids.
exactly. What is something that this scene or Finding Nemo in general got correct?
Yeah, so the EAC, East Australian Current, is a real thing, and it does help with sea turtle transportation, mostly with hatchlings. So the hatchlings, they don't swim very well, not as well as like adult sea turtles. So they'll hitch a ride on that current, and it'll take them to new habitats where they can feed. And usually they'll grow up in those areas and just make those their foraging grounds. So they got that one right.
Interesting. Now, not to be a downer, but climate change is obviously affecting a lot of different animals by increasing the temperature of the ocean. And now, for sea turtles, that actually has some impacts on their gender. Has there been any research or any observations showing that's actually happened?
Yeah, so the research that I help with actually ties directly into that. So we will put temperature monitors inside the actual egg chamber, and once those babies hatch, we'll take them to the lab, and they'll determine if they're female or male. Now, the past, I think, like 3 or 4 years, out of all the experimental nests that we've used, there's been 99 to 100% females. So as you can see that, or as you can probably figure, it's not very good for turtle
Wow.
population because we need some males out there to help keep the population going. So unfortunately, our beaches are getting hotter, especially here in South Florida. So that's definitely taken a toll, or that could be taking a toll on their population in the long run.
Wow. So, what do you do to combat something like that? That seems very difficult.
Yeah, there's the only thing that we can really rely on is like heavy rain season. So, like this season is definitely supposed to be a lot of rain coming in, and that definitely helps cool down the sand. Sometimes the turtles will nest in like shady areas if there's like happens to be a large structure shading the sand. That'll help with the That'll definitely get a little bit more males in that specific clutch. But yeah, overall, it is directly linked to climate change, and a lot of our efforts, like reducing carbon emissions, things like that, will help in the long run. In the long run, with our beaches getting heated like that.
Right. All right, let's move on to our second clip. This one, I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's probably the most famous of ocean movies, and it's also done terrible things for the shark population. We're going to play a clip from Jaws. All right, so that was not Jaws. That was a different shark movie, which, all shark
Still a good
movies,
one.
yeah, all shark movies are about attacking humans, aren't they, nowadays? Unless it's like Shark Tales, right? Where it's like,
Right.
nice.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the reason that I wanted to talk about the Meg is actually because um, in this particular scene, this Meg, first of all, what is a Meg? It's obviously an abbreviation.
Yeah, so the Meg is the megalodon shark, and it's a prehistoric shark that is definitely extinct, despite what Shark Week wants to tell you. And they could get as big as a bus. Think of it as a great white shark as big as a huge school bus, like 40 to 50 feet long. So they were definitely the top predators back then.
Oh, wow. So in this particular scene, the megalodon is coming towards a group of beachgoers. It's kind of shallow water. There's a problem there. And
Right.
it's moving really fast. I mean, I don't know how fast sharks can go, but it seems really fast. But the interesting thing about this scene is the beach officials actually put a sound, and then that actually deters the shark. The shark turns around and goes away. Is that plausible?
Yeah, so what they were doing was making, I think, whale sounds, and whales are, for a shark that big, whales are definitely the number one prey for megalodon. So it was attracted to those sounds. But normally, sharks, even when you go like scuba diving, usually you don't see a lot of sharks around because they don't really like loud noises like that. Like the bubbles are too loud, and all the noise that you're usually making with your tank, they don't really like that. So there was a study where they did try to they used different sounds like the sounds of orcas or just like artificially made sounds to see if sharks were attracted or deterred. But specifically with the white sharks, the great white sharks, they really didn't see a difference if the shark was deterred or not. They kind of just sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. So not really confirmed if certain sounds can either attract or deter sharks, but definitely sounds like the bubbles from your tanks and like your scuba gear that usually isn't sharks usually don't like all that sound.
Huh, interesting. So I do want to talk about Jaws. I mean, we don't even need to play a clip to talk about Jaws. I'm just curious. We hear so many wrong things about Jaws. Did Jaws get anything right?
Yeah, so the short list. So I think there is a scene where they're using, can't remember the name of it, but it's almost like a electromagnetic like pulse maker, something like that. And it kind of makes the shark wig out, and it was just going a little crazy. That's true because sharks do have special organs in the front of their face called ampullae of Lorenzi, and it helps them detect electromagnetic signals. But if those like, and it's a very sensitive sensory organ, so if it's like overloaded with a whole lot of stimuli, then they're definitely gonna go a little, they're not gonna like jump out of the water like that, but they're definitely gonna not be, they're gonna go a little bit awry, a little crazy. Another thing that they did get right, I think there's also a kind of a scary scene where the shark kind of rams into the shark cage and yeah, rams into the shark cage and breaks the shark cage. That can happen. It's not very it's not like a normal thing to happen, but I think there was a video going around where a shark like kind of accidentally wedged himself into a cage or like bent the cage a little. So they're definitely capable of doing that.
Yeah, I actually, maybe we're talking about the same video here, but I saw that video, a video of a shark getting into a cage. But I heard that when a shark bites, it actually goes blind temporarily. So it might have just been confused, and that's
Yeah,
why it got in the cage. Is that?
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so he probably was going after food and missed. And you'll see great white sharks, they have black eyes, like coal black eyes. But when they're going to bite at something, you'll see it turn white. That's because they literally roll their eyes back
Hmm.
into their heads and they're basically blind at that point. So he
Wow.
got a little lost and ended up in the cage.
Wow. What my favorite thing about what people think about sharks, right? People think that sharks are going to eat them when they go into the waters, but in reality, a shark just is pretty much confusing you for a seal or some real piece of food. And all I can think about is how disappointed that shark must be that it thinks it's going to get this like real blubbery, like scrumptious seal, and then it gets like me. like a little skinny bony thing, and it's like, man, this just makes me hungrier. Like, what was the point of this? So
Exactly. Use it as a toothpick.
thank you. Kasha Patel, shark toothpick. Great. I'll put that on my Twitter from now on. Well, thank you, Carly, so much. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Carly, so that's CARLEE, and then MJ_. And the same thing for my Instagram handle. I'm starting to post a lot more about my ocean life, so you'll see a lot of cute little baby turtle pictures too, and a lot of cute shark pictures.
Great. And Carly will be back for our end game at the end of the show. So you can ask her more questions then. And we'll also post everyone's social media. So thank you very much, Carly. This was great.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So next, we're going to go to our very last sponsored ad for the evening. And this one is a real killer ad. Let's roll.
Hey there, friends, I'm back, and we're in fact to talk about the orca whale. Allow me to begin by stating that it's technically not a whale. Instead, it's the world's largest dolphin. It can get to be up to 32 feet long and weigh up to 6 tons. They have a lifespan similar to that of humans, as they can live to be up to 80 years old. And though they prefer colder coastal waters, they can be found from polar regions all the way down to the equator. They can swim up to 40 miles a day and dive down to 500 feet deep. Orca whales are super intelligent and social. They live and hunt in pods and communicate using various vocalizations. Each pod even has distinct sounds to be able to identify other pod members. And they use echolocation for communication as well as hunting. They eat mammals, fish, birds, squid, and even sharks. They're the only known natural predators of the great white shark. Dang, they've taken down the big dogs. When hunting together, they use cooperative maneuvers to capture their prey, not unlike a wolf pack. I'm sure you've all seen that really cool video of orca whales hunting a seal that's stuck on a piece of ice. They all swam under the ice at the same time, creating a giant wave that pushed the seal off the ice. It's snack time, boys. You might think it's sad, but orcas gotta eat too, am I right? Last summer when I was at Friday Harbor Labs, I got to see a whole pod of orcas. Everyone stopped for like 10 minutes just to watch them swim by. So beautiful.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much. We are in it for our final game of the evening. We're going to take all of the wonderful scientists and performers that you've seen so far, and we're going to challenge them to a game of Sea Creature or My Ex. Your lovely host tonight is a ocean enthusiast herself and science writer. Please give it up for Rachel Pendergrass. Woo!
Hello, can you guys hear me? Maybe. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you see my quiz?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to ask my beautiful contestants to come on in just a moment. But what we're going to be playing is a game called Sea Creature or My Ex. Hold on, let me go ahead and tweet all of these out. On my Twitter, have made an audience poll with all of the questions should you like to play along. I'm at Sharkspearian on Twitter. But I have collected a series of facts about potentially marine animals, or are they about ex-lovers of mine? I don't know. That's the game for our contestants to figure out. So do we have our contestants for the evening?
Yes, we're going to bring up Amari Walker. Woo!
Hey,
Woo!
guys.
Brittany Carney. Woo! And Carly Jackson. Woo!
Perfect. So Amari, Brittany, and Carly, are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Ready.
Let's do it.
All right. So you get 1 point for guessing correctly if it is a fact about my ex or a fact about me. A fact about my ex, a fact about a sea animal, or a fact about both. And then you also get 1 point if you correctly guess what species it is, if it does happen to be an animal. So Carly, because you have the science knowledge of the animals, we're going to make it so that you can only say hotter or colder to the rest of your teammates.
Got you.
And then we'll check Twitter
That sounds fair.
and see if you all did better than whatever the audience comes up with. So your first mysterious creature sleeps in a bubble of its own mucus. Is this a sea creature or an ex of mine?
That's so gross.
Are we? What's the order? Am I supposed to? Sorry.
Just shout it out if you think you have thoughts.
Okay, both.
You think it's both? You think it's both? Okay.
Oh, but who sleeps in mucus? Well, okay, there's allergies. Okay, so it could be an X, I'm gonna say.
Carly, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna say it's probably not your ex.
All right. So while I have had some X's that sound like they sleep in a bubble of their own mucus, this one actually goes out to the parrotfish. They do this as sort of a mosquito net. It helps keep parasitic isopods off of them while they're sleeping. It is also super gross. 12 out of 12 would swipe left if I knew that about anyone. All right. So our next question. This creature is obsessed with crop circles. Is this an X of mine or a sea creature?
I hope it's not an X. I'm putting money on sea creature.
I'll go with sea creature.
Sea creature, Carly.
I'm going with your ex.
Oh no.
Oh no. Well, I have dated some conspiracy. Okay. I have not dated many conspiracy theorists. The worst I got was there was a guy who tried to convince me he read a scientific paper that stated that homosexuality is caused by grits, which as a queer Southerner, like I can't refute, but I also don't think is science. No, this is actually something pufferfish do. This is like a really beautiful thing they make, these weird crop circles in the ocean.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this.
It's like vaguely maybe a mating thing, but they're so pretty. I mean, it's not like a mixtape, but I still find it pretty romantic. I don't know. All right, next one. This creature has the thickest hair of any animal on the planet.
It could be both.
I like both.
You like both? Carly?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with your ex again.
I like that you all recognize that I date people with beautiful hair, because I do. I definitely do. But this is also a true fact about the sea otter. A million hairs per square inch, which is the thickest coat of any animal.
Did not know that. That's so cool.
They also have pockets so they can carry things for you. So are sea otters better than all of my exes? I don't know. Who is to say for sure?
All of my pantses.
This creature owes me $700 for his phone bill still, buddy. You gotta pay that in 10 cents.
Money on the X.
Money on the X. Bueller. Yep. So if anyone knows anyone of any gender who knows how to pay their phone bill and is single, my DMs are open. All right. This creature once went on a horny romp through France during the summer.
Sea creature.
I've got one sea creature. Brittany, what are you leaning towards?
I'll go with X.
X. This is actually one very specific dolphin.
I was hoping it'd be a sea creature.
One very specific dolphin who caused such nuisance one summer that like local lawmakers banned swimming within 50 meters of this dolphin because it was just too sexually frustrated.
Oh my god.
So, if you are experiencing serial sexual harassment, just know that the authorities will do everything they can to protect you, up to and including banning you from going near the perpetrator so long as they're a dolphin and not a human. That's the fun facts that we learned from this. Okay, this sea creature won't stop getting things stuck up in its nose. Is it a sea creature or is it my ex?
We can also go to the YouTube comments. If people on YouTube would like to respond, we can also do an audience vote and see what they say. I can let you know what they say.
Thank you, Kasha. Any guesses from the comedy and science gallery over here?
Oh, who sticks things up their nose? I don't know. That's not me.
This was, in fact, seals. It was a weird time in which seals just kept getting eels stuck in their nose. Researchers couldn't figure out what the heck the seals were doing. I don't know if researchers ever figured out what the hell the seals were doing, but Yeah, it was a whole thing. The head researcher of the monk seal program was quoted on the Washington Post as begging the seals to make better choices, which does feel very on brand for my exes. The seal just looks so happy, though.
He does.
Oh,
Yeah.
so gross.
He like feels good because it like wriggles around.
It's the iPad of seals, I think. That's what it was. All right, this creature looks like the rump of a pig. Is this my ex or a sea creature?
Both.
Both.
I'm gonna go with both.
I am
curly tail.
Would you with a curly tail? I don't think it had. Well, so it is a sea creature. I'll give you that. It is one of the most inappropriate looking creatures I've ever seen in my life.
What is this? I love it.
The flying buttocks is also what it is known as. It is a worm, I think. I have my notes up on a different tab. Yeah, so this is the pig butt worm or flying buttocks. It was first described by scientists at the Monterey Bay Aquarium in 2007. I'm honestly offended that you all think that I would date someone that looks like a pig's butt. I'm gonna have to rethink what league I'm in now, everyone. Thanks for that. Creature is known as a blue bastard. Is that my ex or is it a fish?
Oh, I'm going with sea creature.
Sea creature.
Sea creature.
It's a sea. I've not dated any cops. No, this is a sea creature called the blue bastard. He the blue bastard's cool because everyone thought it was like this legend that people were making up this giant fish that was hard to catch, and they were like, "Oh, hey, buddy," and then they really found it, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, that was real. This is the fucking blue bastard. So hard to catch. It's a great name." This creature wraggles its flaccid thin appendage to lure prey. Is this my ex or a sea creature?
I'm gonna say sea creature.
I'm going for sea creature.
Also sea creature.
Yeah, so this is a species of deep sea squid.
Whoa.
It doesn't have any hooks or suction thingies or photospores on its what would be its feeding arm. Instead, scientists think that it just kind of like flops it out there to try and look like something to be eaten. Wriggling flaccid things doesn't get you into my ex category, I have to say. And last one, but certainly not least, this creature doesn't participate during mating. It just sends something to its mate to use on themselves. Is this a sea creature or an ex?
I hope it's not an ex. Oh my god.
All of you are looking so
Disrespect. Sea creature.
Ex?
So definitely dated some girls that this would qualify for. Not gonna lie. But this is also the Argonaut. So a lot of cephalopods detach their mating arm and give it to females to use whatever is convenient for them, which like A+, here for that. The Argonaut takes it a step further, and their mating arm can actually like independently find its way to the female. It like sends itself to them. Neat, super neat. Wow. Although I guess because of quarantine and the fact that I'm making most of my money on my OnlyFans, I also found so myself out here. All right, Kasha, did you keep track of the score at all for that?
I think everyone just thought you date really bad exes. So.
Yeah, I think the real honest answer here is like, hold on. Let's see
you, because they're no longer your exes.
Yeah, so. Certainly not me. In my dating history, and Carly already knows me. Carly like figured it out.
Oh no.
I'll go through all the Twitter answers that we now have and see how they stacked up against you all. But it looks like Twitter also thought that everything was both. Well, that was fun. Thank you for playing my game, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Let's give a good round of applause to Rachel. And also, now that we're all unmuted, I would like to say a sincere thank you to Amari Walker, Brittany Carney, Carly Jackson, Rachel Pendergrass, and then also Jada Elcock, who is actually our creator of the commercials. She posts hilarious and very informative 1-minute marine facts every single day on her TikTok. I'm not on TikTok because I can't figure it out, and China. So I actually just look at it on her on her Twitter. So follow also all of us. We'll post it in the comments. Rachel's Sharksperian, as you can see from her slide. This is the end of our show. We will end off with a musical guest after this, a very special guest that I'm very excited that I was able to get on this show. But I would like to say thank you very much. Virtual shows are always interesting. Thank you guys for keeping us on our toes about when the sound wasn't working and when it was working. We will actually be posting excerpts of the pre-recorded videos later after the show later this week. Check out Science Comedy Paradox podcast for the full interview with Amari. And also we have Jada Elcock on there talking about how she actually creates her TikTok videos. If you would like to know anything about how the show was created, feel free to message us at DC Science Comedy on Facebook, email, whatever. Thank you very, very much. And have a good World Oceans Day. I can guarantee this is probably the best comedy show you've seen all day. So thank you very much. And now let's give it up for our musical guest, the Killer's Whales.